Students, we are going to discuss today Class 8 Science Chapter 1 Crop Production and Management. In the previous video, I had informed you about the harvesting, threshing, winnowing and how to storage the crop productions, right? Today we'll move ahead all those things you may have seen in the part 1 and part 2 of the crop production. This is the third part of crop production. In this part we are going to today read about improving crop yield, means crop products. Second is the nitrogen cycle and nitrogen fixation. Third is atmospheric nitrogen fixation. Fourth is biological nitrogen fixation, and last one is food from animals. These are all the topics today we are going to cover. So let us start today improving crop products or improving crop yield. First of all, you know very well, India is the second highest populated country. To fulfill all these people's food, farmers need to grow more and more crops. So to need to grow more and more crops, they have to improve the crop production. How they will improve the crop production? So let us start. Our improved crop management will help us to increase the amount of food produced in India. Some of the techniques involve increasing soil fertility, providing better irrigation, facilities of protecting the crops and pest and diseases. First of all, see, there are two things, that is selective breeding or hybridization. First of all, in the previous video I had informed you about that how to save crops in agriculture, because many pesticides, weedicides are there. By putting them, so the different types of fungus will not attack on the crops and the crops will be safe. But as we are getting a safe crop production, but we must have a knowledge about the selective breeding. Selective breeding is actually selective breeding of crops is also done to increase the crop products, right? Means generally we think about that in this area of land this much crops will grow, but if I want to grow more and more crops in this much area only, so for that selective breeding process is done. And what is hybridization? Hybridization is the artificial crossing is done to combine the characteristics of two or more than two crops or varieties of plants to get, as for example, these things we may have heard about in class 7 reproduction in plants chapter also, that the hybridization process was there, and in the hybridization process, by mixing of two plants, a new plant grow, and that gives us a good variety and good amount of plant productions. As for example, if we are talking about that any two rose flower plant, if we are taking, right, one rose is of red color, another rose is of white color. If we mix this both the colors rose flower, in which in one plant there were 4-5 roses, and another plant 2-3 roses, but if after mixing both these in one plant, you will see there are 10 to 15 flowers are there, and they both are of different color. So this process is called hybridization. Hybridization is an artificial process. By mixing two varieties of plants, we get a new variety of plant and we get maximum plant production. The next topic is the nitrogen cycle and nitrogen fixation. All of us know in this whole atmosphere 78% of nitrogen is present, but all these nitrogen can't get directly to the plant. So that's why this nitrogen cycle and nitrogen fixation is required. So let us read about nitrogen. Is one of the most important nutrients for the plants. It is a constituent of proteins and DNA. Through the earth atmosphere, 78% of nitrogen, plant cannot use it as it is. It has to be converted to form that plants can use. The process by which nitrogen in the atmosphere is converted to the forms that plants can use is called nitrogen fixation. Means, as for example, if I talk about this 78%, directly it can't be used. So this 78% should be converted, and whatever the form plants require, that conversion of this nitrogen is called nitrogen. Means you to fix the nitrogen, this 78% nitrogen, we have to fix that type of nitrogen which plants get, and plants can take that nitrogen. This is called nitrogen fixation. And the cycling of nitrogen between the atmosphere, plants soil and animals is called nitrogen cycle. Means this nitrogen cycle and nitrogen fixation. The nitrogen cycle means whatever the nitrogen we are getting from atmosphere to the plants, to the animals, to the soil and all the other living organisms. This is the cycle of nitrogen, and especially for the plants we have to fix some nitrogen in the different forms that the plants can get, and whatever the form plants require in that form, if the nitrogen we fix, that is called nitrogen fixation. Next one is atmospheric nitrogen and its fixation. What is atmospheric nitrogen? We have to understand. Nitrogen combines with oxygen during lightning or thunderstorms when it happens. So that time nitrogen oxides, these compounds dissolve into the rain to form nitric acids, and these acids react with the compounds in the soil, especially to form the soluble nitrates, and that can be observed by plants. What I want to say you is which form of nitrogen is used by plants. The soluble nitrates. Soluble nitrogen, first of all you should understand nitrogen. Nitrogen reacts with oxygen, it gets nitrogen oxides, and as the nitrogen oxides mix with the rain, it becomes nitric acids, and this nitric acid reacts with the compound in the soil to form nitrates, and that nitrates are being used by plants. So this nitrogen is called atmospheric nitrogen fixation. Means in the atmosphere nitrogen is there, nitrogen reacts with oxygen, it becomes nitrogen oxide. Nitrogen oxide reacts with rain, it becomes nitric acid, and this nitric acid mixed with the soluble things like soil or any water, so it becomes nitrate, and this nitrate goes to the root of the plants, and then the root of the plants absorb this nitrogen. This type of nitrogen is called atmospheric nitrogen fixation. Now next topic is biological nitrogen fixation. What is biological nitrogen fixation? Nitrogen fixation is carried by microorganism in the soil. All of us know in the soil different fungus are there, small animals like earthquakes and other bacteria which are present and fixed into the soil. So this bacteria also have 90% of natural nitrogen. So when this microorganism in the soil accounts about 90% of natural nitrogen fixation, that bacteria that fix into the nitrogen, and this is called nitrogen fixing bacteria. What I mean to say is that nitrogen fixing bacteria is the process by which the soil converts the nitrogen into the nitrates. Means many bacteria are present inside the soil. So these bacteria, when they die, so these are the natural forms of nitrogen, and these natural forms of nitrogen fix into the soil. This is called nitrogen fixation bacteria. You may have heard about the rhizobium. Rhizobium is a nitrogen fixing bacterium. Rhizobium is a nitrogen fixing bacterium that forms nodules on the roots of the legumes like beans and peas, right? So now the kind of relationship between the two organisms, that is advantages of both, are called symbiosis. Definitely, if we have heard in the 7th standard about the symbiosis, when both the living organisms help each other or mutually they are helping to each other, that's called symbiosis, and this relationship is called symbiotic relationship. The nitrogen, especially to the animals when they are eating plants, and the other animals that have eaten the plants, that plants and animals which can die also. What I want to say is the decomposers break down the proteins and release nitrogen back to the soil. So that's why the nitrates can be absorbed by the other plants or acted upon the same bacteria which is released by the nitrogen into the atmosphere. What I want to say is that nitrogen is the most highly abundant gas present in the nature, and this directly neither plants nor animals can take. For that's why we require the nitrogen fixation. It can be formed in the nitrogen cycle, in nitrogen fixation, atmospheric nitrogen fixation, biological nitrogen fixation. Last topic is food from animals. Can you tell me which type of food we get from the animal? Have you heard about the husbandry, animal husbandry? When we use the help of animals in many ways like bullock, horses, donkeys, and so on, many more things, from one place to another places, right? We get milk products, we get meat of the goat, sheep and cattle. We also get many useful products like wool, silk, leather and honey from animals. that branch of agriculture, in which we study or deals with the rearing of animals and caring for them is known as animal husbandry. Means that branch of agriculture in which we study about the animals caring or we get the products of animals is called animal husbandry. Okay, milking animals, cow, goat, buffalo, these are the milking animals. Dairy products, what are the dairy products? Curd, butter, ghee, cheese, these are the dairy products. We get egg from poultry like hen, duck and turkey. Egg are rich sources of protein and fat. Okay, we get meat from poultry like goat, sheep and so on. Now I am talking about the two branch of science or agriculture, that is pisciculture and apiculture. Have you heard about the pisciculture? Pisciculture is that branch of science in which we study or in which we rear the fish, how the fish can grow, or the rearing of fish for the food items. The meat of fish is rich in minerals, so the important sources of vitamin D. The rearing of fish food is called pisciculture. Remember, the rearing of fish food is called pisciculture. Next branch is apiculture. Have you heard about the apiculture? Apiculture means honey from the wax. We are getting honey. You know, nowadays honey is rich in sugar. So how do we get honey? The rearing of bees. The rearing of bees to get honey is called apiculture. So this was our chapter number 1, crop production and management. In the part 1, part 2, if you have any doubt, please comment below this video. If you have think that I have understood the chapter, please comment and say, sir, I have understood. If you have any doubt, please comment your doubt below this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe and press the bell icons for get latest notification. That's all. Thank you for today.